Okay, we have him on. We have him on, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my goodness gracious me. Alrighty, let's get this chat right off here. Now, we're not going to put his mic up just yet while we stay in control for the moment anyway. Well, KK Factory fam, tonight we have someone very special joining us live. You've seen him so many times over the years. He's someone I've had the pleasure of getting to know, not only through his work and his commitment to our community, but also as a friend. Importantly, someone who supported the KK Factor from day one. And Steve, I want to say that publicly, because it means a lot. From the very beginning, you've understood what this show is about: community, conversation, culture, music, giving people a voice. But tonight we're putting the friendship to one side, for a little moment anyway, and talking about your work. Steve Dimopoulos is Victoria's Minister for WorkSafe and TAC Minister for Sport, Minister for Equality, and he's been a strong voice for our multicultural community and for the Greek Australian community in Parliament. There's plenty happening across Victoria, plenty happening within our community, and tonight we're going to have a great conversation about it with limited time. And Steve, knowing you, I don't expect the usual politician answers. We're going to keep it honest, we're going to keep it constructive, and most importantly, we're going to keep it the KK factor. So whether you're listening across Melbourne, the Peninsula, Geelong, Western Port, Port Phillip Bay, or watching us online, Steve Dimopoulos, welcome to the KK Factor. It's great to have you live once again.
KK, I feel like it's your home. You're greeting me with warmth, like every guest you greet, and a cup of coffee. And I've just run from the Scouts. I was giving the Scouts a tour of Parliament. I'm in Parliament at the moment, so I'm a bit flushed, but I was running around giving a tour. But it's always a pleasure to be. Thank you for your generous comments. Can I say I've always loved, it's maybe how I grew up with my dad, and always loved independent media, and you provide another opportunity for people to come together around a community of interest, and that's the Greek community.
Thank you so much, Steve. It's always an honour having you, and I know you've always got my back, except you don't give me much time. I know you're in Parliament. I've been there. It's a big building. So just to let the audience quickly know that Steve did once promise me that, and it happened. You're always a man of your word. You've never, ever let me down, except when we're expecting you live, but something happens. But that's out of your control. Now, Steve, I know we haven't got much time, okay? So I need to get through so many important issues, but we're limited. Now, firstly, a few weeks have actually passed since we were expecting to have this conversation. So from where you sit today, what is the biggest issue you believe the Victorian government needs to get right now? Because Labor at the moment is in not damage control, but it's a crucial time for them. We've got limited time before the elections. What does government need to get right now?
Thank you, KK. A bunch of things, but I has said in the last 3 weeks since he became Premier, he said it's about integrity and trust. And he said that every single dollar of public money matters, taxpayers' money matters. He wants to treat that with respect. And I think that's probably the key. There's a bunch of other things in terms of people wanting, a continual.
It is a very strong statement. It's a very strong statement what he's made. He wants to be transparent and accountable for every tax dollar spent.
That's right. Yeah, which was important because that's why the Royal Commission is important. And I know that there's various views about how much or how little, but that's all speculation. What's important is that we've put something in place to give people at least some comfort that we understand the concerns and we want to get to the bottom of them.
And just quickly briefing on the Royal Commission, let's also mention, because some people do follow, some people don't follow, that this Premier has actually put more powers or given more powers to the relevant bodies like the Victorian Police and everyone that's involved in the investigation, which predominantly will make that difference when we look back at the past history. Is that correct, Steve?
That's right. And I think, there's a view about, can I say, KK, my view is that there's a bunch of things that people care about. 12 new hospitals that we've built in 11 years, 121 new schools, upgraded a whole bunch of other schools, probably about 1,500, built them all. I can get from Oakley Station to Centre of Collins Street in 21 minutes from Carnegie. All those things we've done, but people say you need to make sure that that money was spent wisely. That is what we're trying to do now, is actually make sure that people have confidence about the system. And I'm sure, given what we've heard in the media, that we'll find, the Royal Commission will find something, right? I hope, and I think it won't be at the level that some of the exaggerations are about. But what's important about this is it's completely interesting about the Royal Commission, completely independent, but interesting too. It's a Greek background commissioner. Pretty extraordinary.
Amazing,
right?
Isn't it?
Yeah, the former Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of South Australia, Chris Kourakis, a pretty extraordinary human being. I think off memory, he's been Chief Justice for 10 years. He's been on the Supreme Court of South Australia for another 10, so it's 20 altogether. So I think it's the terms of reference are really broad. Even people who were negative about this whole thing, like Nick McKenzie from the A, said the terms of reference are excellent. I don't remember the word you used, but it's very supportive. So I think that will give people confidence. The other thing I think that matters, we've redoubled our efforts on potholes because that's become an issue. People have told us that. We've put over $1 billion.
Come on, these potholes. There's billions of dollars every year put towards this. We can't afford to fix them on a permanent basis. So it is maintaining on a year. And you know what? I just want to also people. You've got Labor said $1 billion a year. Liberals have said $6 billion over the term. Literally, that's $1 billion a year. So it's just in different terms. So regardless of what party is in place, no party is going to avoid not fixing the potholes. And people also need to understand that not all roads are under the government. There are some that are under the council, the local council.
And
so you need to further investigate. And the federal government. So I believe that, yes. And I believe that it's also on us to call the council or call the person that we need to call to say, hey, there's a pothole again. Because in Victoria, let's face the facts here. Our weather is so extreme compared to the other states of Australia that it will create potholes. Now, Steve, I saw someone's calling you. I'm not done with you yet. Now, you've been around the Victorian politics for a long time. What are you personally most determined to deliver in this next?
You're amazing. Sorry, I was talking about how good you are and asked your question.
I know. Thank you. You've been around Victoria politics for a long time. What are you personally most determined to deliver in this next chapter?
Yeah, I love that. I think if I can encapsulate into one sentence, I want people to feel confident and proud of the place. Okay? And there's a lot to be proud of. And the problem is a lot of the conversation, just by its nature, negativity rises to the top of a conversation, whether it be on social media or on legacy media, as we call it, the old media. It becomes the all-encompassing. People around the world, I'm not saying there are not problems. Of course there are problems. People around the world would line up in the queues amounting to 2 or 3 billion people to want to live in a place like this, right? Australia, number one, but also Victoria. Like the other day, I was looking at some Australian Bureau of stats. The fastest growing state in Australia by raw number of people is Victoria. By percentage, it's WA because they're a lower base. Us. Now, people have a view about how big will Victoria to be or not, right? That's fine. We don't control the borders. It's the federal government. But people are choosing to live here. We had 117,000 people settle in Victoria last year, including from other states.
That's exactly right.
New South Wales lost 60,000, right? Just bear that in. Lost 60,000. We gained 117,000.
Isn't it amazing? We don't hear about New South Wales. We never hear about that. We just hear about people leaving Victoria.
And KK, I'm not saying it's perfect. Of course, well, I'm working hard every day. I live where I'm elected, I know. But I'm just saying it's balanced conversation. If I can do one thing is give people some pride back into their place by showing them the things we work to make it better, including
that's what we need. That's what we need, Steve.
Absolutely.
Now, what do you think government sometimes doesn't understand about what communities actually need from their elected representatives? Now, I know what I need, and I need someone to be transparent and explain things to me rather than all you talk about is the opposition. I don't want to hear it. I don't care what party you are from. If you're representing my area, tell me what you need, tell me what you want to do, tell me what I will see.
KK, I love
So what
that.
do you think
And,
the
you know,
government's
you teach me that. But no, I agree. I think we should stop talking about the other side. I'm torn, though, to be really honest with you, because fundamental level, and in practice, I support what you're saying, because people don't want, you know, the minute you bag or criticise somebody else, you're thinking, oh, hang on, why are you criticising that person? So I think it's important to talk about your
you're not
platform,
spending
because you're
time
asking
giving
people.
me what I need. Yeah.
But
Be transparent. Talk to me.
you're
That's right.
transparent. Also, you're asking people to give you another chance as an individual. The only torn a bit is, I think it is an obligation of all politicians, including Liberal Party ones and National Party Greens, to efficiencies of another party's policies, right? But I think the trick lies in doing it
I
in a
don't
way
have an
that is
issue with that.
respectful.
That's right. That's it. Key word,
That's right.
respectful. So I can respect you and believe what you're going to do for me. Now, Steve, let's talk about Victoria's new Premier, Mr. Ben Carroll. Congratulations to him. We've had a chance at the top of the Victorian government, and I think it's important to recognise that a change of leadership doesn't necessarily mean throwing everything out of the window. Jacinta Allen led the government through a significant period, and there were certainly achievements that Labor can stand by. But Mr. Ben Carroll has been very clear that this is a new direction. He's come into the top job saying exactly what he said. He wants to do things differently with a stronger focus on integrity, responsibility on the government spending, rebuilding the relationship with businesses, community safety, and making sure Victoria have confidence in their government. And perhaps most importantly, he has acted very, very quickly. Now, within his first days, I've seen as Premier, he's announced the Royal Commission, as we said, into the construction sector and said that integrity will not be optional under his government. He also flagged reforms to Victoria's anti-corruption watchdog, IBAC. So I think the question for Victorians isn't simply, is Ben Carroll different?
Yeah.
What do you think?
You've described that really accurately in terms of what he said and stands for. And absolutely, and he's already. So he's publicly committed to bringing changes to the Parliament this year on IBAC's Follow the Money Powers. Follow the Money Powers means IBAC, the Independent Broad-Based Anti-Corruption Commission, has a power to call any public official, politician or public servant or any public hearings and demand that they no choice they have to answer questions. What it couldn't do is go into the private sector. The reality is money does end up in the private sector through Price Waterhouse, for example, through contractors, through construction. So following the money means taxpayer money. IBAC has the power to follow.
Oh, no. You're frozen on me, Steve. Oh, no, this is not what we need. Steve, you have frozen on me. Oh, no, we've lost Steve. We have lost Steve. Okay, there are lots more questions to ask Steve, but we have kind of lost him. I'm hoping he can hear me and he will rejoin. Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay, Steve. I'm just
going
to... No, I'm happy you've done that. Look, I know we're pressed for time. I want to say that I noticed with Mr. Ben Carroll, he's a force to be reckoned with, okay? He's just gone gung-ho straight away, never seen anything like that. He's fully supporting the Greek culture and the broader multicultural communities of Victoria, which is amazing. Steve, what needs to be done now to reconnect with Victorians who may have supported Labor in the past, but are questioning whether the party still understands their concerns?
Yeah, it's great. It's a great question. I'll say two things. One is I think Ben has picked the very issues that people were anxious about and concerned about, and a group of people saying, well, I'm not going to vote for you again because of those things. I think he's picked those very issues. Integrity in government, hence the announcement of the Royal Commission, hence giving IBAC more powers this year, not next year. Number two, he literally stood there in his first press conference and said, we are open for business. And as a former business owner, KK, I used to have a business. I used to employ 12 staff. I love
That's
that.
right, you did. That's where you started, Steve.
That's right. I started with a business in Oakley. I love that, and I've always believe that business is a key partner in how we have a good and a growing economy, of course, because they help create the jobs. The other thing that was important is in terms of respecting the taxpayer money. That's really important. I think he's addressed those things. He's also added another, I think, over 200 PSOs to shopping centres, railway stations.
Right.
Something Jacinta started, and he's now put on velocity a bit faster, is retired police officers manning police stations. Because, frankly, I'm really strong on this view. No one wants police officers in a station behind a desk. They want them in their cars, roaming around the streets, so they're easily accessible.
That's right. Walking the streets, walking the shopping centre. That's exactly right.
Right. So he's doubled down on that. He's bringing retired officers to desk jobs and getting the active current officers out in the streets. Those key things. The second part of the answer, though, will be in the following. Why should people who may have voted Labor in the past and not now thinking of it? You know, at the moment, the only thing people think about, I think, if I'm fair, is the government of Victoria, because they're heading to an election and there's only one government. As we come closer to the election over the next 3 months, 2.5 months, people have a choice. So each party will come under a similar level of scrutiny. It won't just be us. It'll be every party will come over there. So they should be held to the same standards in terms of what they're promising, what their record is. At least we're clear on our record. 121 new schools built in this state. Over 1,500 schools upgraded. 12 new hospitals, 17,000 more nurses. Metro Tunnel, Westgate Tunnel, North East Link, 92 level crossings removed, a whole bunch of other things, 3-year-old kinder, free TAFE courses. We're standing on our record, and we've got the next chapter of that record, including better on community safety, better on integrity, and also cost of living. For example, KK, and I'll finish this because I'm going on a bit, but for example, the 10 dental clinics.
That free dental, that's a game changer, Steve. I have spoken to people that have come to me today and said to thank the government that's going to put in place free dental care. There are dental hospitals in Frankston, in the city, but a lot of people that haven't got the time, or there's not enough time, haven't got the money, they don't get dental care. And this is a game changer.
And 100%, and KK, even in a modern, successful, I saw something come up today on my feed. Australia is the third wealthiest nation if you divide the annual income of this country divided by the population, right? But even in a country as wealthy as ours, I can tell people who can't afford dental care, and it's not just working class people, it's middle class people. Dental care is really expensive. Having 10 clinics as a start around Victoria, the dental hospital in the city is too busy. Like, you have to wait for months sometimes, not for urgent care. But so that's a real thing about supporting the middle class to stay middle class, supporting working class to get a leg up. That's what gave our parents the chance for you and I to be standing here. Public services, which means they didn't have to spend their own money just trying to survive. They could build their wealth on top of public services.
Now, Steve, just also touch on the hospitals for an example. They've built the Peninsula University Hospital in Frankston, which used to be the old Frankston Hospital, with a helipad. Obviously, that helipad is there. It's going to cover the Peninsula area right up to Sorrento and Rye, Dramana, and you name it, okay? Because I've heard the party say we don't have a hospital in Rye. Okay, well, we don't need a hospital in Rye right now because we've got the helipad that will get you there and pick you up, fly you straight to the Peninsula University Hospital. Because there's only X amount of hospitals you can build at one time under one government as per the budget. So I do hear people saying, well, hang on, they haven't done this hospital and this hospital. But we've got to put into place how many they have done so far, and we've only got so much money limited to put towards the hospitals. Now, one thing this is a question I would have loved to ask the Premier. I would have loved to ask the Premier about the strategy he's taking during this crucial time before the election. And I wanted to ask the Premier because I work with figures every day, Steve. And the key thing is we need to be transparent. We need to be compliant, okay? There is a budget, and then there's money allocated to projects that have been put in place years beforehand that all parties signed up on, and then whichever party is leading will progress it. Then there's all the new projects and all the projects that the new government wants to do, as this is going to be my legacy if I don't continue to be in place as a government. Now, I hear from the opposition, figures like we're going to save $40 billion. And that sounds terrific. When you hear as a broader thing, the Victorians are like, wow, that's a lot of money. We need to save it. But I'm trying to understand, because I know how budget works. Now, how are we going to save 40 billion? Where could we take the 40 billion from to put in place in what we want, what the new government wants to do, or if another government goes into place? Where do you cut? Because you can't just get $40 billion unless you go into debt another 40 billion. So where's this money going to come from? What will get cut? Is this something that the Labor government knows? Like, you know, when you go into cabinet in the parliament, you talk about, you know, if Labor doesn't continue, this is what we're going to do. Because the Victorians need to understand this.
Yeah, it's a good point, and that will become clear over the next couple of months, next 2.5 months. But my response to that is, I think it's very difficult to cut $40 billion. In fact, I think it's impossible to cut $40 billion from the state government budget.
They're going to save it, so you've got to save it somewhere.
Yeah, that's right. I think it's impossible, and I'm deliberate about the word impossible, not just a political word. It's impossible to do that without impacting.
That's right.
Frontline services. I'll tell you why, because you know the budget we delivered in May?
Yes.
It was a $120 billion budget.
That's right.
Thereabouts, 1,720. 57% of it, or thereabouts, 57% went to health and education. So if you're going to cut $40 billion from a $117 billion budget, you have to impact the two biggest slices of the pie, which are health and education. And we're not willing to do that. What we are willing to do is, we're the only jurisdiction on the east coast of Australia, so Queensland, ACT, New South Wales, Tasmania, and South Australia's got a tiny one. We delivered a budget surplus of about $1 billion, and next year $1.2 billion we're projecting. Now, we have to, right, because we made a commitment to Victorians, we're going to pay down the debt. So we have to. So we're running, what that means is we're paying nurses, doctors, teachers, police officers. We're even paying the interest on the debt, all from money we make in the year, not from borrowings, right? Borrowings are only for the big projects we've done. So the last thing I'll just say to you, with the hospital, it's a really interesting point, because I've got a friend who lives in Rye. And I said to this friend, a Greek boy actually, I said, you know, when you go to a hospital, you want to be able to get there quickly. But the building matters, of course it does. We built 12 new. It's even more than the building and the technology is the personnel, the best doctors, specialists, nurses. We've recruited thousands of doctors and 17,000 nurses. I'd rather go to a hospital, even if it's 10, 15, 20 minutes away in the helipad, where I've got the best care. Of course, you need good hospital infrastructure, and we've done 12 of those. But you want good personnel, right?
Steve, we're going to wrap it up. I know you're in a hurry,
one more
Steve.
Thing to say before I go,
yes.
if that's okay. I've got to go 9 seconds, but you tell me yours, and I've got one more thing to say.
Okay. Victorians read third-party information. For me, a lot of it's very misleading, and it really upsets me, and I wish there's an anti-corruption thing against that, you know, Royal Commission into people that mislead the Victorians, but that's not going to happen. But where can the people really hear the truth of what's actually going to happen from any party? Where do they go? Do they go to the Parliament site? Do they go under Labor, under Liberal, under the Greens? Where do they go rather than following third-party news platforms that most of the time, for me, I believe they mislead or they don't tell you the right information? Where, Steve?
It's a $64 million question. I think the most obvious answer, which is not foolproof, but it's a pretty good one, is go to the primary source. So when someone says to you, the Liberal Party is going to do X or the Labor Party is going to do X, go to their page, read that, and Google is an amazing instrument, and you say, well, health policy, hospitals, nurses, recruitment, whatever it is. Sorry, it's the bells of the parliament going. I think primary source information. But KK, can I just tell you something? Emailing me is also useful. I can't respond to the Facebook comments. It's just too
I know.
many.
Look, I have emailed your office, and you have given me legitimate stats. So I know I can get that information rather than try to source it.
One more thing that I think is important, and the bells have I've got to go. But one more thing that's important, there was a dinner the other night that Ben Carroll, the new Premier, went to, as did Jess Wilson, to her credit. Both of them went. Ben announced that he would make an announcement soon about ethnic languages.
Okay.
And people in our community, one of the best things that we love to hear in the continuation of our culture is our kids and our grandkids being able to speak the language and being supported. Absolutely, community language schools also fund themselves and parents pay fees. But many parents don't know the state government for years has been paying a portion of the fee to take a bit of relief off the parents. and it's behind the scenes. People don't notice it. Now, my question will be to the Greek community: do you think One Nation is going to be paying community languages, whether it be Hindu, Mandarin, or Greek? I doubt it.
Gotta love Pauline. Gotta love her. I don't know. What can I say? Steve, thank you for joining us live on the KK Factor right here on RPPFM. We've talked about some serious issues tonight, but I think it's important that our audience gets to know the person behind the title. Where whatever your politics, thank you for giving us your time, answering the tough questions, and having a bit of fun with us. From all of us listening tonight, we wish you well in your work ahead. And Steve, you're always welcome back on the KK Factor anytime.
Okay, stop KK. Yes. Bye.
Bye. Oh, look, it's always a pleasure talking to Steve. We can get answers from him and we learn so much. But, you know, not everybody follows Labor. Everyone's got their choices. But the key message tonight is go straight to the source. What is important to you when you make a decision? Go straight to the sources. Don't listen from third parties. Don't even listen to me. Unless I've got someone from my party live on my show and you hear from their mouth, that's the best way to get the answers you need to make the decisions that are important for you. So thank you so much once again to Steve. And thank you to everybody for all your messages and what you've been putting through here.